At this time, I say good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting edition of the program, ASHFORD GARLEY Live on British Radio Africa. It feels great to be back home. Grab something to drink, get the popcorn rolling. Hey, don't be selfish, invite a few friends so that we can together have a great time tonight. This is yours truly, the giant, the brother who doesn't eat iron, but he's definitely stronger than a lion. The medicine of the microphone, the golden voice of Liberia. That now you know me. Working. We have a full house tonight. We have the president, the vice president, the administrator, of the Liberian Women Advocacy Network International. And we'll also have with us tonight and that's what we also have with us tonight, the former Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection, Republic of Liberia, Mrs. Julia Duncan Cassell, in the building as well, folks. Again, grab something to drink, invite a few friends. Very shortly, we're going to bring our guests up close. So sit back, relax, and let's together have a great time tonight. It's time to say hi to Mr. Wonky Mans and Dolo out of Boston, Massachusetts. Now also see D. Flo Flummer, Liberia Destiny Debaters, the home of constructive thinkers, is in the house. Beston Boy, Abu Bebeto Fofana. Jimmy Poppy Garley, Florence Tiller, Ralph P. Williams, James Blamo, and the rest of the crew in the building tonight.
Un Anglais à Paris, Hector Ibomi, Maya Scott. Ah bon? Mike Mwanga fait le bambou. Les frères Célestina, l'association Bokelema. La parole est guerrier.
And that's right, just like that, we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like once again love to say hello and Welcome to a fresh, brand new edition of the program, ASHFORD GARLEY Live. Tonight, we have some special guests in the building, and they are going to be telling us about the current crisis in Liberia as it relates to rape. And to begin with, we have Mrs. Grace Corrington Goa. She's the president of the Liberian Women Advocacy Network International. I will have her say hello to the world. Hello, Grace. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Ashford. Thank you so much for having me on your platform, for having us, Liberian Women Advocacy Network International, LWANI. My name is Grace Corrington Goa. I am the president for the Liberian Advocacy Network International. I'm also the founder of Legacy Holding Foundation. I have a bachelor's degree in speech communications and with emphasis in public relations. And I am also, I work at actually with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Department of Human Services, and I'm an 8-year veteran at that job as a caseworker. Thank you for having me.
Okay, that's the voice of the president of LWANI. Then we also have the vice president, Mrs. Vera Harden Added. Hello and welcome to the show.
Good evening, Ashford, and good evening to your listeners. I'm Mrs. Vera Harden Added. I am the vice president of Liberian Women Advocacy Network International, LWANI, and I'm glad and excited to be on tonight.
Okay, next we have Mrs. Macra Johnson. She's the administrator, and I still don't see her camera on. Can one of you guys please find out why she's not on? I can see her here. Can you please make contact with Mrs. Johnson? And while we wait for Mrs. Johnson, as you advocates come on here tonight, we'll have the former minister of Gender, Children, and Social Protection, Mrs. Julia Duncan Cassett. Madam Cassett would like to say hello and welcome to the show.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here. You know, it's like 12 o'clock our time in Liberia. Glad to be on the platform and hearing with all of the activists. So we look forward to the discussions.
Okay, let us begin with Mrs. Goa, who is the president of LWANI. Mrs. Goa, as we await Mrs. Johnson to join us, please tell us about your organization's structure, operations, and activities.
Well, LWANI, we are an advocacy group. So we are a movement, actually. We are not an organization. We are a movement. We decided to bring like-minded women together that fight with the same agenda concerning rape and the violence against women and children in Liberia. Our mission is to contribute and inspire women and children in all communities in knowing their rights by providing the tools to knowledge they will need in education, information, and awareness concerning the environment that they live in. And our mission is ensuring a society of women and children to understand the rights and empowering them with skills, information, and opportunity to obtain education, protection, and awareness. So this is what we are about. Our main focus right now in Liberia is to challenge rape in the response form when it comes to social work. So we setting up an office where that when the rape victims call the police, maybe the sexual gender-based violence unit, they're not getting through, they can call our office and our people there will answer them and give them information on services that they can get concerning what they're going through. So that's what we want to set up in Liberia. And then later on, maybe we will look at the risk mitigation and also the prevention. But right now, we are just working on response, how helping our people, especially rape victims, to get help with the system, and also we can also render help to them as well.
Thank you. Okay, Mrs. Johnson just joined us. Mrs. Margaret Johnson is the administrator. Could you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Margaret Johnson. I'm the administrator for LWANI LWANI, and currently I'm an active duty soldier in the U.S. Army, and my profession is HR management.
Okay. Again, that's the administrator for LWANI. Nadia at special guest here tonight as we talk about the troubling issue in Liberia concerning the rape. Well, Madam President, when were you registered as an advocacy group, and which countries are you currently operating?
Right now, we are operating right here in the great United States of America. We are registered, and we also are registered in Liberia. So we establishing an office in Liberia. We are registered there right now, legitimately. And this movement just started in March of this year. So we are a new group of people because we saw the need for women with the same agenda to be on the same page and to tackle the rape issue in Liberia. So we decided to come together in March. And so far, we have been doing good.
Now, any one of you can go. Tell us your organization involvement in the recent rape protests in Liberia.
Well, I will speak on that. This is Vera speaking. We actually found out about the protest on Facebook, on social media. We saw the flyers were going around, and we got together as a team and we discussed that there was a protest that was going to take place in Liberia. Actually, there were protests that were scheduled. I think one was scheduled for August 21st. That it was a Friday in Liberia, I think in Fishtown. And then there was the one that was scheduled for the 25th. And so we decided that we could not participate in the first one, but however, we would have loved, we wanted to join the one that was taking place on the 25th so that we can show solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Liberia, because we are constantly on Facebook and we're constantly speaking to them about rape and what they should do, what they can do, how to protect them. And we're constantly do something about it and not just sit there supinely and let their children, get destroyed and get violated and nothing is being done about it. And so we got together. Actually, it was a last minute decision. We got together late night after work, about 7, 8 o'clock at night. We got together as a team. And we decided that we were going to join it. So we sat down that night, we prepared a flyer, just a little flyer, and we tag it to the flyer area, and then we'll put it out on social media. And I think President Grace, she put it on platforms and stuff like that so that other groups see it and join us, and and we invite other groups. That's how we became a part of the protest in Liberia.
Okay. Now, Madam President, could you please give our audience your understanding and perception of the Liberian government response and handling of the situation regarding the recent anti-rape protest?
Well, I as far as response, I don't know. Like, if I was a part of the government, I would just tell you what I would do. Now, how they responded to the rape in Liberia, I don't know why they did that. I was against the response, to tell you the truth. I was going to, as maybe a gender minister or advisor to the president, I was going to advise the president to join the rape, the march. Because when it comes to rape, I keep on saying to people that rape is a national social issue. Rape has a root cause in Liberia, has been embedded into the system for many years. Now, we did not understand it when we were in Liberia because we did not know that was how life was. But coming to the 21st century, that we have traveled and people know what's going on in the world, we know it's wrong. So now how can we pinpoint or one government in power and say, okay, you're responsible? But what we want to say is that the government is not responsible for what's going on because it's a social national issue. But what can the government do to cramp down on these things? And these are some of the things that we wanted to put forth for the government to do for us. Like when the march started to take place, we told President we will come down from his high horse, get with the people, march to justice minister, tell them we're not going to justice minister because there where the real issue is. Let's go there and I will protest with y'all, with my wife and also the gender minister, and they will go and protest in front of justice minister that these cases will go further in prosecution quicker because they have hundreds of cases, but they have only 2 proceedings a year, and a few judges are on these proceedings. So what can we do to hire more judges? What can we do to put in more people to solve these problems in criminal code E? And how can we set up a different sexual gender-based violence units in the different counties to cramp down on these cases quickly and bring them to fruition? And that's why I wanted the president to do, but unfortunately, he will not even come out to receive the teaching the people have. He will not even speak on it in the way he should have speak on it, like condemning rape, because when the protests were going on, there was a rape case right that same day on the protest, maybe many others, but the one that was reported was the gang rape. So, and that's why we say we don't want this president to look at rape like, oh, that's my government, so they're trying to put me down. No, we want you to look at it in a way that it's been here. What can my government do now to cramp down on things and put in measures and services that will help the victims and also bring the perpetrators to book?
Well, according to the president, he instructed the gender minister, who happens to be Madam Piso City Taft, according to the president, after listening to him via an interview with LWANI, he says she was his representation. And he believes that if he sends somebody to represent him, I think the person should be given the courtesy, because that indirectly that's him right there. And the protester refused to listen to the representative of the president.
The president is the president of the people. If the people, there are certain things that happen in the country when a little 3-year-old girl can get raped and then her vagina be tuned with a razor blade, that's a serious human rights crisis. Serious human rights issue. So the president, if the people telling you that, sir, we know you say you're gender minister, but we won't see you face to face, and we want you to come and talk to us. The president is the president of the people. He should listen to his people and come down and talk to them. There is nothing wrong with the president actually coming to speak to his people. There is nothing wrong with that. So if the people say we're protesting, we don't want a general minister, we don't want the justice minister, we don't want none of these people, we want you to come down and talk to us as a president of a nation, as a father of a home. What will you do? You will speak to your child or your children.
Okay, do you have anything to add on that, Mrs. Addit? I can't get the video coming in from Mrs. Johnson. Mrs. Addit?
Yes, I would just like to say, every time we do a Facebook Live, we continue to tell our brothers and sisters in Liberia, we continue to say that, the men are the head of the home. They set the tone in the home. And so it is, in my opinion, it is with the president. Consider Liberia, the nation is the home. He is the father in the home. When something goes wrong, it's the father who comes out to find out what's wrong and then take action, because he is the one who sets the tone. He is the one who instills discipline, and he is the one who calls everyone to the carpet. And the problem we have in Liberia is that, in our opinion, we think the men have failed us, because everything from the home to the nation, everything, they tend to send the female ahead. They tend to send the female forward. I think it was the right thing for him to come and receive the petition. It wouldn't have taken anything from him. It wouldn't have even taken him 2-3 minutes to stand there with the kids. All they wanted to do is present the petition. He could have spoken to them, received the petition, and go right back to his office. They didn't want to see the gender minister at that time. They wanted to see him to express their grievances to him and hand him the petition directly. Because sometimes when documents are handed over to people and it's supposed to go in the right hand, it doesn't necessarily land in the right hand at times. And so if they wanted to give the petition to him, to hand it directly to him, I think it was the right thing to do for him to have come out and received the petition. As the father of the home, he is responsible for the nation. He is responsible to set the tone. He is responsible to speak to the people. He is responsible to instill discipline. Let him look at on the people of Liberia as his children. Look at them as your children. If you look at them as your children, where you have to instill discipline and make sure everything is set straight, then everything would have been set straight. But he has to understand that power belongs to the people. And if the people are expressing their grievances, then he must come out to hear them. It doesn't matter. They don't want to hear from the representative. When we were growing up as children and something aggrieved us in a home and we wanted to go lay complaint to our father, and our mom came and asked her and said, oh, what happened? I sat there and said, no, I don't want to tell you. I'm waiting for my father to come to explain to him. And I sat there. When my father came, I explained to him. He didn't tell me, say, oh, why you didn't tell your mom before coming to tell me. He listened to me and he corrected whatever issues there were. So that's how we see him. In the eyes of us who are in LWANI, we see the president as our father. And if we have an issue, he should listen to us, his children.
Now, Madam President, what are you and your team plans to visit Liberia to further engage the government on the issue of rape and sexual violence?
Well, I cannot sit here and give you all my plans, Ashford, because now going to Liberia is kind of scary. You know, you can't just tell people you're going to Liberia. Because we will be going to Liberia. But can I give you my schedule here? No, I've been going to Liberia personally. I've been going to Liberia since 2009. I go there every year, and I do work in Liberia. So, but I will not announce our plans to go to Liberia, but we will be going to Liberia because we have established an office there. So we'll be going there, and we'll be sending the information, a letter to the president. We'll try to meet him as well and tell him our grievances and tell him what we're looking for him to do when it comes to cramping down on rape and gender-based violence in Liberia. And doing things that will help our people to live in lack of fear, because right now the society or the communities, people live in fear for their life. The children are being raped on a daily basis all over the place, and nothing really is done. And you see this person going to prison for rape cases, and the next day you see them out in the streets and walking like nothing happened. So of course we have plans to go to Liberia. Right now we're in a pandemic, and we will wait until everything sees down. But before we get to Liberia, we want the president. We sent him a petition when we were at the Liberian embassy the other day. So we want him to look at those petitions and start working on them, because we gave him a deadline of 90 days. After 90 days, if we don't see some of the things we put in there in place, then we'll start to think about doing or taking another step. But right now, we are still waiting for a response from the president.
Well, I don't know what specifically is in the petition, but if I should ask, what recommendations do you have to deal with this evil art of rape, or what would you like to see happen?
Well, I will give some of the information in the petition, and Vera can also give some if she wants. But one of the things that in the petition is them making sure that, as I said before, that the sexual gender-based violence unit, which is the children protection unit, should be established in all the counties. They should have it in all the counties. Number one. Number two, they should make sure they have a rape registry for all the rapists, and it be updated every month, and it should be in every precinct in Liberia, in all counties, and with their pictures, their name and their ages and everything. It will be their location as well. We also want them for the first degree rape, like what had happened with that young man that took razor blade, decided to tear a little girl part off. And for rape against children is a first degree matter. So we want people like that, either that you go to prison a lifetime, or they should have their testicle removed, because the removal of the testicle is a very minor surgery. We're not saying that they should take everything off, but they should remove the testicle so they cannot have feeling towards having sex, because their feeling towards having sex is having sex with children, and it's very, very dangerous for our society. It is a public health issue, it is a developmental issue, and a human rights issue. So that's some of the things we have in our petition. Vera can name the rest of the stuff, and she can name one or two of them.
Mrs.
Yeah. But it was a whole lot in the petition, but I think one of them we also asked them, we requested them that in the 2-term court sessions that they have, if they increase it to full quality terms, and to speed up the process for the cases that are on the docket. And we also want the laws that are already on the book for them to implement it, because as it is right now, the laws on the book are not being implemented properly. They got people, and we also in the petition we also requested that we had a certain amount of time for incarceration for those who take bribes and those who are in legal capacity, like judges and court clerks and stuff like that, to be incarcerated if they are found compromising a case by taking bribe. Those who are police officers that are in the precinct, if they take bribe, we also have a punishment time in there for that as well. So that is in there also. It's a whole load of things that I can't really understand, repeat all of it right now because I don't have the petition before me. But those were some of the that we have in there.
Well, folks, if you're just joining us, this is ASHFORD GARLEY Live, and we have officials of LWANI here this evening. We also have the former Minister of Gender. We will be bringing on later on to tell us more about this. She's no stranger to this. As a matter of fact, she was there and she had to deal with it a lot. Okay, so tomorrow we're gonna play host. We're gonna go on the quieter side, play host the Queen City tomorrow, and for entertainment. In the meantime, if you're interested in coming on our platform, all you have to do is just get in contact with the marketing department of British Radio Africa. Now, Madam President, there are others who say we need a special code set aside to deal with only rape cases. How do you respond?
There already is a special code set up to deal with rape cases. The criminal code E.
Okay.
It's there for rape cases, right? So the code is already there, but are they implementing the laws? Are they taking the different cases to trial on time? And are they not being partial? Partiality. Are they not playing the partiality ball on the different cases? That if I know your pa and maybe me and your mom were friends and you rape, and then they go and sign for you and let you go. I had this man on my podcast the other day. I was doing a live, and he was saying that they released a rapist who raped I think his daughter or his niece or something, and the court, the judge actually signed him up and told him, say, "Oh, I will sign for this man." Rape is not available. How come you can sign for a rapist? So we don't get that. So the court is there. Is the court working the way they're supposed to work? No. And that's why we want, President, we have to make sure that those things change in the system. We want the courts to work.
Well, Mrs. Johnson, the president was asked, the protesters wanted to see the president, and unfortunately, they didn't get to see him. He sent somebody to represent him, which, of course, had the protester turned off, and the president didn't speak. We saw the former president of Liberia, Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. We also saw Madam Lema Bowie. And it was at a lit meeting where the president had a special interview with ELBC. Were you disappointed? Mrs. Margaret Johnson.
I don't think Margaret hearing you.
Margaret, are you there? Can you? Yeah. Okay. You might just want to unmute your phone, Margaret, please. Your device is muted. Okay.
Sorry, guys. I think I figured it out. Whew.
Did you get the question?
No, I didn't get the question.
Okay. Now, a lot of the protesters were disappointed in the fact that the president did not show up to meet with the protesters. He sent a representative. In his response, he said they should see whoever was sent as him in his absence. And we also saw the former president of Liberia, Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. We saw Madam Lema Bowie. They all showed up. And then the president at the lit meeting had an interview with ELBC. Were you disappointed?
A little disappointed, and the representative he sent was Miss Piso City Tar, right? And I think the why the people were disappointed is because this is her lane, and for the rape cases to be escalated, or large numbers coming every day, as to see her with no solution for them, because that's her job and she have not been doing her job. For her to come to the protesters is like, we're, there's the same, is no change. So we want to see the president himself, so he can put face to this thing, and we know that he would directly handle this case, because obviously the representative that he sent had not been doing her job. That's why they resulted to protesting, and I think that's why they were upset. And for the first lady and all the ladies to be, I mean, the former president to be there, I just think it was in support of women, and her not, aligning herself with the whole RIP issue. To my understanding, during her regime, it was something that she clamped down hard on as well.
Now, we want to go to the former Minister of Gender, Madam Julia Duncan Cassell. I heard one of you said earlier that the rape business is something that has been around for a long time. Even the president himself alluded to that this has been around for a long time. And we want to have Mrs. Duncan Cassell come in and tell us uh, how she feels about this very ugly act that is going on in our country. Madam Minister.
Thank you, Ashford, and thanks to I stand to be corrected, Margaret, Grace, and Vero, for this platform, and all who are listening.
Madam Minister, you might want to please adjust your face to the camera. We can't see your face clearly.
After hours pass, so the face is not okay.
Now you're doing good. Okay. Now we can see you.
Okay. All right. Let me say the issue of rape in our country. As a nation and as a people, we must endeavor to look at rape holistically. Prevention and intervention and protection. When I was minister, we adopted what we call the three P's. The three P's were prevention, protection, and persecution. Prevention is the awareness, the education, and the involvement of everyone in order to curtail the issue of rape and gender-based violence. Protection. Protection was to protect the survivors or victims, as we refer to them. Once they were abused, we found safe places for them to protect them. So that's 2P. The third P was persecution. Persecution did not lie in the arms of the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. But as a minister, our work was cross-cutting. We cut across the Ministry of Justice, Education, Health, and you name it. So the three P's, prevention is the first, protection and persecution. Persecution lies in the arms of the persecutor. And that was the last result. But our main work was to prevent rape, domestic violence, or all forms of gender based violence against women and children. So those three P's were our principal guidance that guided the Ministry of Gender, Children, and Social Protection.
Now,
What we did,
go ahead.
uh-huh,
No, go ahead.
what we did was to work with line ministries and agencies. The Ministry of Gender, Children, and Social Protection does not have prosecuting powers, but we work with civil societies. We work with gender-based actors. We work with other donors and partners in the prevention and the protection of our children and our women that were being abused. We had a pathway that you start from here. If something happened, this is where you go. But be it as it may, what has happened in the last couple of years? The issue of rape is on the rise, or people are hearing about it because of the awareness, because of the teaching, because of what we did to educate people that these things you cannot sweep it under the rug. You have to talk about it. And so a lot of people now have learned to protect your child, to protect your children. You have to talk about it. You have to let people help you. It has been happening before, but this time you owe it to your child. The rape law in Liberia is one of the highest, but the persecuting power is where it lies. But the awareness that you hear people talking about rape in every corner, every area now, is because we have set up in the various schools, in the various communities, from grassroots. We set up those organisms before we left government. That if this happens, this is what needs to be done. If this happens, you need to report it. Do not be threatened by your teacher, by your pastor, by your uncle. We have a habit in our system where you see the man coming with a black bag. And you tell that man, oh, it's your husband coming, go and help him with his bag. Or it's your uncle, or this man is your husband, go sit on his lap. The pastor will come and say, let me give you anointing. While he's anointing you, he's abusing you. So a lot of what you hear now used to happen before, but people never talk about it. Now they have the avenue. We created safe space at the time so that people were protected. When they talk about these things, they were taken out of the public view, and they were protected and they were guided. We had a time where we paraded those that went through the court system and were charged with rape. We named and shamed them in a yellow garment. You know, when they wear the prison outfit. We had the pictures posted in communities that if you see this person in your community, they're rapists. Be aware of them. We name and shame people. We're crucified for that. We're called all kinds of names because we're degrading their pastors, their brothers, their uncles, their fathers, and you name it. But I'm glad to see all of the actors on board that we need to sound it aloud. The 3 days protest by the group that was attended, I attended that. I was there. The former president was there because we went to say, we stand by you. We stand with you. Enough is enough. We needed some more attention. Criminal Court E was set up. In every county, you don't have the courts, but you have what's called a camera to shot. We work along with the female journalists of Liberia. We work along with the female lawyers because that group was set up to help provide legal assistance to the less fortunate group. And most times, the compromising of rape cases happen from the home. A child is not raped by a stranger. A child is normally raped or abused by a family member. A child is normally raped or abused by a church member. A child is normally raped or abused by a teacher. A child is normally raped or abused by a friend or neighbor. So we started from the community level, and that needed to continue in terms of the awareness and education. Like I always say, the 3 P's. We try to protect our children. Protection is the first. Prevention. How do you prevent your child? A mother is in her room watching her Nigerian show, and her 3-year-old child is downstairs watching the Nigerian show with a neighbor from the yard. You send your 6-year-old child to buy a $5 bag of water 11 o'clock in the night. What is the role of that parent? Why will you allow your 6-year-old child to leave the house at 11 o'clock at night to go and buy a $5 bag of water, and at the end of the day, only to be abused by a friend or a neighbor or a pastor or a teacher? What is the role of the parents too? The issue of rape and gender-based violence in our country It's a societal issue. It's a societal issue. And all of us need to be on board. We're not gonna blame anybody for it, because as parents, we have a role to play. We have the rape law. We have the domestic violence law that were passed under this new administration. And that law is fully implemented. It says, what is the role that you play? What did you do? How did the child get outside? How did this child get abused? It is the very parents that when we try to persecute perpetrators, that will go and compromise because the cases take too long. Or they need to go on the farm. They don't have time to go to court to testify. Or the man is the pastor for the church. So it is a societal issue as well. And I want all of us on board here, this platform today, listening, to know that no one person can solve this issue. Collectively, with the proper education and the proper awareness, we can all help to reduce the violence against our women, our children, our boys, because our boys are also being sodomized. We can do this together.
Now, I want to go to Mrs. Margaret Johnson, and perhaps we can come back to Minister Cassell. Madam Johnson, would you agree that there are more rape cases in this government than the previous one? If so, is it because there were not enough awareness done back then, and people are now speaking out more? Is that one of the reasons? Maybe then we can go back to the minister.
Well, it's more rape cases in this government and than the previous government, in my opinion. And I think the previous government had stuff in place that had people fear, raping children. They probably had systems in place during the previous government time. And compared to today, I don't know who are in doing those jobs that are not doing the job they're supposed to do. But I would like to disagree with the minister saying that the children, their parents, there are cases where parents are pursuing justice and they cannot get it. So what do you say about those cases? We understand that we have to give awareness and train, let the teachings and all that stuff to those people. But we have cases that parents are trying to seek justice, but they cannot get it. They're stalled in the courts. The perpetrator has money more than the victim's parents. They get off, and going back into the community. What do you say about that? And I think that my stuff is easy shut, cause if I want to solve a problem, as soon as you start setting one or two people as an example not to do it, it won't happen. Then we don't have to sit here and be talking, we got to create awareness and blah blah blah. No, as one person do it and send them to jail, or especially if the child died, that's a death squad right there. You took that child's life. Kill him or her. Let everybody see it, and maybe it will deter them from destroying these children. But we cannot sit here and just be talking. We got to talk. We got to talk. What about prosecuting these people, the ones that have committed committed a crime, prosecuting them in public? Let the other friends see it, and then maybe they would think twice. And for the example, the guy, what's his name, that's in jail, the one that was doing his stuff here in America before he went to Liberia. Why are you keeping those people? You have video of that the girl's, the man's daughter saying that her father was molesting her. What are you doing about those cases? You see what I'm saying? So it's not like we can sit here and talk all day, but the court system need to work, and they need to work speedily. You understand? And get these people to books and get them out of society. At the same time, we will be creating awareness and teaching, but we need them to do something as far as deterrent measures.
Now, is the rape law tough enough? I know it's supposed to be a non-billable offense. Now let me go to Vera. Is this law tough enough? Because you see people go to jail, and the next thing you know, they come right out, and you know yet about the case anymore.
Yes, I do think the laws on the books are tough enough, but it's just not being implemented because of bribery. So the laws are on the book, and the laws are tough, and that's why we petition the government. In addition to the laws that are on the book, we wanted to add castration. But if the laws are on the book and they're just overlooked, and the judges are taking bribes, the court clerks are taking bribes, the officers in the precincts are taking bribe, then it goes nowhere. It doesn't matter how tough it goes nowhere. And so that's why, and that's one of the reasons why we expected the president to come out and receive that petition. It would have sent a message, because he can clamp down on those people. The president can speak, and the judges will straighten up their backs. The president can make sure that the cases in the courts are moving forward. The president can make sure that the laws that are implemented are being, and those who are perpetrators are being punished correctly according to the laws that are on the books. But it just seems like everything in Liberia is a stalemate. The laws are not moving. The people who are supposed to implement the laws, they are not moving. They're taking bribe and doing her of a BF Goodrich, where the judge told the perpetrator to give him $50 so that people don't catch him. How you as a judge, where I mean, I don't know where the judges come from, or I don't know how they became judges. You as a judge would tell a perpetrator, give me $50 and run. So you have sold you sold your ethics for only $50. That's how much you're worth as a judge. Those are the cases that it's just mind-boggling. But I do think that the laws on the books are strong enough. And in addition, we wanted to put castration on it, but the laws are strong enough, but they're just not being implemented. For some reason, everybody there just have a don't care attitude. It's just all about bribery. It's just all about a few US dollars, and then they set the perpetrators free.
Madam Minister, just before I go to Mrs. Goad, Madam Minister, you talk about the 3 Ps. You talk about prevention, protection, and prosecution. Why in this day and age people are still exposing the identities of the victims?
Thank you, Ashford. Let me say, I'll talk about the 3 Ps, but let me just speak to what Margaret and said about parents seeking justice and not getting it. I'm not so sure that the parents. I mean, there might be some cases, but there was a case where a former resident judge became a lawmaker and abused a family member of his. This lawmaker, who is a lawyer by profession, was arrested and sent to jail.
We're losing your audio. Can you please come closer to the microphone?
There was an incident during my time where a former judge became a lawmaker, and the lawmaker abused a family member of his and were arrested and sent to jail by us because we blew the whistle and the justice system had him arrested. It was the very mother of that child that would give him token to take the child out of the country.
Did we lose that?
The internet probably.
No, I'm coming. I think I'm going internet. Yes. Okay. And he did not run for re-elections, but he's back in his county as a resident judge. So it's something about the system. And you talk about parents seeking justice. I can tell you my 6 years as minister. When parents wanted justice, they were given justice. They were relocated. The survivors were relocated. They were rehabilitated, and they were protected. I don't know of any rape survivor during our time or parents who wanted to seek justice and did not get justice. When it comes to yes, because the court were won, it took time and they had to go on the farm, they had to go sell the market, and people would bribe them and say, look, you're wasting your time. Nothing going to come out of this case. But to answer your question, Ashford, let's go back to the reality. The 3 P's. I talk about protection that every child before, when I was a child going to school, when I wore my uniform, after school, if I went to the wrong place, I will chest tie. And my mom would know that I didn't come home straight because her neighbor would send a message to her. We have to go back to that. Where we live in a village. We need to protect one another. Our children, we got schools that the children don't wear uniform. You can't identify what school they belong to, whether they're supposed to be in school or not in school. So that is the prevention side. Let us prevent rape before it happens. Let us protect our children before they are abused. And then let us seek persecution from those that are supposed to provide it for us. Okay.
Okay, I will bring in Mrs. Goa, but just before we do that, people are beginning to get brave now. They are coming out and telling their stories of how they were victimized by others or relatives of theirs. On BBC, this Liberian lady, I believe her name is Mrs. Brenda Brewer Moore. Let us take a listen to her, and then we'll break in Mrs. Goa.
That's some of the questions that we why this happened, and the outrage. I mean, we've always had a case of we have situations of rape and violence against women in the country, but a lot of the anger and outcry that you're now seeing that's manifesting into a series of different march and protests and campaigns is really around the percentage of children in that number. So you have about 60% of the reported cases being, against children or happening to children. So that has really created a lot of anger in the country. You have children as young as 7 months, 3 years old that are being raped, and, it's really horrific. So you've had a lot of people talking about it, and, we decided to, as a group, we've been doing a lot of awareness around rape, but also sexual abuse. And so we figure another way of creating even more awareness and sharing it, more widely was to create a movie.
Yeah, and exactly. So this is the conversation and how you can get it out to a wider community through your movie. It's very personal for you as well, isn't it? Because you experienced sexual abuse as a child, didn't you?
Yes, I did. And 3 years ago, in 2017, after a lot of therapy, a lot of internal reflection, I realized that one of the reasons why we have this problem is because we don't talk about it. It was not at that time an open conversation people were having around molestation. It's a sort of hush kind of thing. It's very pervasive, and you have conversations with people, and people will tell you, "Oh, it happened to me. It happened to me." And so I decided in 2017 I was going to write a blog about my experience of being abused as a child. And we also actually, a friend of mine, after reading my story, decided to produce that into a film. So we actually produced a film in 2018 titled Stolen Childhood. And it was really a way of creating conversations in homes and across the country where people who wanted to have conversations with their children about sexual abuse would have a tool they could use, watch through your child and then, start that conversation. So it's very personal, and that's one of the reasons I'm particularly, involved with a lot of the conversations around violence against women, but also, sexual abuse and molestation of children.
Mrs. Gore.
Yes, sir.
You just heard Mrs. Moore. Again, earlier I said people are getting brave now to come out to share their story and making a blog out of it. So in some instances, they are in the process of making movies, And I believe the more people come out, the better it will be, for the exposure of these bad habits? How do you respond?
Well, before I respond to that, I just wanted to go back to the minister a little bit. She talked about back in the day when Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was president, and she spoke about cases that came out that were persecuted and had to do with government officials. Now, we know that in Ellen's time, Margaret stated that, yes, the laws were, a little bit implemented, or not to our satisfaction, but there was something done. But we are talking about now. We know of many parents that tried to get their cases prosecuted, that took their cases to court, where they had to buy ream of paper, they had to buy pen for the clerk, they had to buy toilet tissue to use the bathroom, they had to pay for everything that mind blowing that you would not even think in your wildest dream that people pay for when they go to offices. They had to pay for these things. Like, for example, Mohammed Dukleh fought for his case in that criminal court E. And the judge that was over that case, Serena, how they call Galawolo, she never wanted to get a man justice until today. This man have not gotten justice for his daughter being raped. And all the evidence are there. And now they free the man on like he got medical health problems. That's why they let him go. But he's all on social media writing mess. And he's all in the society boasting and threatening people. So the parents are fighting. We're not going to take away from the parents here. Majority of the parents in Liberia that did not know this thing was wrong and now they know, they are fighting for the children on a daily basis, but they are not getting the laws to work for them. They are not getting the court system to actually look at the cases. And I will also speak about Magame. Magame's little granddaughter was raped in Kakata by Justice Smith. And he raped her twice. And they said that he had been raping little girls in that place for so long. And he's a teacher. This man was let go. He works in the community boasting. We as a group had to collect money to relocate Magame with another advocacy group or another organization that helped Magame to relocate her to another place from David Copper town because she could not live in the town because they were shaming her in the town. They head of the town. They were throwing hints at her. So all these things, these people fought for justice. They did not get it. So when she talked about the 3 P's, about the prevention, the protection, and the precaution. So what we talking here about parents and the community. So what is the state doing? What is the state on what are the P's thing? What is the P's that's there? What part does the state play in those P's? What are the response that they are giving to the survivor? Let's put the perpetrator aside for a minute. Let's put the survivor into place here. What is the Health and Social Welfare Ministry doing to help these children that are being raped and molested and destroyed? What are the services? What are the services given to them? They're talking about the community. They're going into the community. They're giving awareness. They're giving education. But are they giving it in the proper form? Mm-hmm. Are they giving it in the proper form? Why is this thing on the rise? It's not because they have been giving awareness. Now the people talking about it. No, this is the 21st century. So people getting to know social media is booming. So people getting to know this thing is there wrong. So we have to now speak against it. It's happening to me. I have to speak out. Like the lady or from the BBC interview, she had to speak out. She had to come out and say, and we encourage more people to do that. When you have a case, this thing happened to you, you come out and you speak against it, like the lady who spoke against Pete Cook. She came out and she told her story to her siblings, and they came on your show and they talk about it. And we want people to talk about it now. Going back to the case of Pete Cook, he could have just apologized because we could understand that during those days, yes, it was wrong. Men knew it was wrong to sleep with a 14-year-old girl. I mean, your conscience will tell you it's wrong, but it was the norm. So people did it. So he could just come and say, well, I wronged you and I'm sorry. Apologize to the family and they move on because there's a child involved in this whole thing. So and that's why we're looking at more people coming on, explain your story, go on social media, tell somebody, do a podcast, write a post, so we can get a word out there that this thing will go like a wildfire in Liberia and people will know that this is wrong. We're not going to tolerate it. This is the 21st century. We're not going to let our people live like that. We are not going to live like that either because we have businesses running in Liberia. We pay taxes there as well. So we have the right to speak on things that happen there. And our families are there and we support them. And we support other people who we don't even know. So we want things to be better in our country because at the end of the day, we all are Liberians. and we want to see the betterment of our country. So you know, and I don't like when the parents, all they talk about the parents got a part in this thing, the government too got its part in this thing, the community got a part in it. We all need to look at our parts and work on our issues and try to bring the country to a safe place. That's what we need to do.
Okay, now we want to take the play to the people who want to open up the telephone lines. Maybe they have some questions for you, our special guest tonight. And the telephone number is 248-979-1718. 248-979-1718. And as we wait for callers to begin calling, I'll go to Mrs. Added. Speaking of Mr. Cook, and this alleged rape occurred in 1990, and he said on this platform that he asked the girl for her age, and she said to him she was 19 years old. How many Liberian men you know would see a young lady and ask for her age? We're talking about way before we came to America now.
No.
Mrs. Added?
Not many Liberian men will see a young person in Liberia and ask, how old are you? They just look at your outward appearance and they go for it. They don't ask you your age, you know, because like some people grew up in Liberia, some people were very tiny in the body, but then other children, they develop quite quickly. And Liberian men really, they didn't care. As long as you look good in their eyes, even if you are on the tiny side, they just go for it. They don't ask you how old they
Go ahead. Sorry for that.
Other children, my problem I have with that Mr. Cook story, yes, he did rape that girl, but the disturbing part was you violated her by threatening her that you were going to get her killed. And that was like double trouble. On top of raping her, she was fearing for her life. And you know, even though it was a war situation and her life was in danger and he did that to her, my thing when I was listening to the show, and I said, even if she was 25, even if she was 26, even if she was 30, he had no business threatening her life just to want to sleep with her. That was wrong. Because not only minors get raped, grown-ups get raped too. People who are above 18, 19, 20, 21, they get raped too. And sometimes they are coerced into getting raped. Sometimes they are threatening and they get raped. Sometimes they have to give in to save their life, because you know you want to save your life and live tomorrow to be able to tell your story. And you know, Paul, like the question you asked, if many Liberian men ask girls in Liberia for the age, unless they knew you or knew a family member of yours or they knew you from around the way, then they would know how old you were. But other than that, they didn't ask your age.
Now, there's a guy on here claiming to be Eugene El Fagon. That's a fake page. That's not the deputy minister of information. So please don't sweat it. I just blocked him. So
Okay.
that's a fake page on that. You know, don't allow these people to distract you. Margaret, what do you make of the question I asked Mrs. Addy?
About the asking girls for their age, that they don't. I cannot even say one or two does. They just look at you and see your breast or your butt or whatsoever, and they start, oh, fine, yeah, are you my woman, or this and that and whatever they say. But Liberian men don't ask no questions. It's them coming to America and fear their friends getting in trouble. That's why they ask questions here in America, but not in Liberia back in the days. No, I don't agree with that.
Now, Mrs. Goad, do they have safe home for the children that are getting raped in Liberia? Have you heard about this? Have you asked these questions?
Yeah. Before I answer that question, let me just go to Mr. Cook question quick. I can't resist that. You know, when the story was going on your show, I saw Mr. Cook and he looked so very different from the Mr. Cook I watched, you know, a few times. And I could see the grief and the shame that was on his face and stuff like that. But as we were said, so even if he asked the girl, which we know he did not ask, because usually the men don't even ask. In fact, the younger the better it is for them. So, so we don't even think he asked the girl. But my thing is that if the girl was even giving you sex at the age of 20, because she was afraid for her life. That's an informal consent. So that's rape because she was afraid that sexual exploitation. I will carry your family and you cry woman and this and that, I will report you. So say, okay, let me just let you have the sex with me. It's an informal consent because she's trying to save her life and she's trying to save her family's life. So that was just totally wrong. I think Mr. Cook should just try and apologize to that family for them to move on. It's been years now and for the betterment of the child. And what was your next question you said?
Do they have safe home for the victims?
Okay. Yeah, I heard that they have safe home because when this girl from Nukutan said that the legislature, I forgot his name.
Daisy Sibo.
When she reported him the molestation case, I heard from one of the women groups that they were able to send her to a safe house in Liberia. But she said that the place was very lonely and she didn't like the service on her. And that's why she was able to go back home to her sister. But yes, they do have, I think, a few safe houses in Liberia.
Okay, I believe we'll have a call on the line. The area code is 503. The last 4 digits of your number, 8164. Please tell us your name.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Hello, welcome to the show. Tell us your name.
Thank you. My name is Hussein, calling from Pennsylvania.
Welcome. Go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, my question here has to directly to the minister. I was just listening to her pertaining to the rape issue in Liberia. My question here has to do with the awareness program she's talking about in our country. Is that only pertaining to Monserrate County or within the entire county country of Liberia? Because most people talking about the rape issue is just surrounding in Monserrate County. But like when you go places like Sauno, you go places like Maryland, Lofa, all these places, you see kids like in the age of 13, 10 years old getting married to older men. Even in Monrovia, I'm saying older folks from here in America. And they vow that they're going to Africa to go, they call it, are going to eat, in the Liberian way, they're going to eat young chicken. Are going to eat fresh chicken, meaning that they're going to exploit a young teenager because they got a little cash in their pocket. So what are some of the mechanisms they put in place for some of these places that doesn't have the access compared to that of Monserrate County? Thank you.
Well, I think any of you guys can come in because Minister unfortunately just went off the line, hoping that she can come back again. If you have answer to that question, you can come in.
Well, I will speak on that quickly, and then Margaret can come in if you're then. He's very right. A lot of rape cases go on in the different counties. Some of the rape cases, we get information on them. Vera and Margaret can attest. Some nights we stay on the phone 1 o'clock in the morning. People sending us images and things that happen in the rural area that is not being reported. The government is not reported to the courts, nothing. And these people are left by themselves to handle their business. Sometimes we in the diaspora will raise funds for them, send it to the parents to help their children, get well or go to the hospital and things like that. And most time, the government in Liberia, they focus on the cases in Monserrate. They do. Because most time when the children or people call us complaining about these rape issues that happen in the rural areas, like the 5 years old girl that was raped in Manga, and the judge told the man to give him $50 and he will run, and he should run for his life to PF Kurish. That rape case was never even reported. The man who even reported that case to us, he said when he saw the girl, when the picture he sent, her whole under part like rotten meat. That how that man destroyed that girl. So because for the government not paying attention, the system that's in place, because the way they respond to the people, when the people come report these cases from different countries, some of them have to pay their way all the way to Monrovia. Even the people in Monrovia, like the girl that they how they call him said, this Samson Otis guy, the Nigerian guy that raped all those children. One of the girls he raped. You know how many times that her parents had to walk from Jamaica Road to in town and walk back just because of court case, and every time they go there, they will sit down there all day and they tell them you'll go come back tomorrow. So think about the people that are in the rural areas. What time they will have to even pay their way to come. So they don't even want to report. That's why we have the petition. One of our requests from the president is that the units be set up in all these counties to give people the free chance to report their cases and for them to cramp down on it, for the officers then to go and arrest these people. That's why making the delay on cramping down on rape is a whole lot. The delay is the delays are so many until sometimes it's mind blowing. You can't even comprehend on how these people are going to get their act together, but they can get it together if they're ready to do their jobs.
Margaret?
Yes, to the caller, he's absolutely right. And that was most times when we sit and talk as a group, we wonder about the families in the rural areas because nobody hears, their cries. And like Grace just said, that was part of our petition. But I also wanted to stay, and I cannot get over the minister saying, "Oh, the families, the families." As I sit here and think about it, we can say all we can about the families, but my question is, what is the government doing? What is the government doing? Let's forget about the mother and father was careless about, watching their kids. What is the government role on people who are perpetrators? Can we get an answer for that? Because we're going to continue, we're going to hold the parents' feet to the fire. We would do that all day. But if we do that all day and there's no, the government doesn't have a role to persecute these people are still going to keep on doing it. You understand? And it's hurtful. Very, very hurtful.
Mrs. Hattie? You might want to please unmute your phone.
I'm sorry about that. I would say the same thing my team members have said. People who up in the hinterlands, they have no ramifications for the things that are going on. They have no transportation because of the economy. They have no transportation. They have no means of coming to report their case. And like we said, if offices were set up in all 16 counties or how many counties they have in Liberia now, people will be able to go to their county precinct and report the case for it to be, maybe later transferred to Monrovia or however way it is put in place. So that's why we're requesting the government to do that. And I know the caller also mentioned these men who leave from here and go to Liberia and say they're going to eat spring chicken or young chicken. And on our live, we've been talking about it. And if we know them, we're going to start naming and shaming them too, because a lot of them leave from here and they go Monrovia just because they have a little bit of money in their pockets. They go and exploit the young children in Liberia, and it is also rape. So they are doing the raping too. It's not just the people in Liberia. People that are leaving from here that are supposed to know better, they leave from here and go and exploit the children in Liberia. They leave their girls here. They leave their wives here, knowing very well those very things that they are going to do to other people's children in Liberia. They want nobody to do it to their children here. And they go Liberia and just perpetrate crimes and just think it's okay and come here and sit down. And that's why we were saying the other day, Monday, Grace was on live, and we're saying the other day, that's why most of them can speak up. That's why the force that the men supposed to back us with, they're not backing us with that force, because you know what? A lot of them are perpetrators. A lot of them have done or are doing these same things that the Liberian men in Liberia are doing. So therefore, they're keeping their mouth shut. Because if they come out to talk, they are afraid that somebody will put their butt outside. And it's such a shame. And like I said on Monday, if you are a perpetrator, if you have exploited someone or violated them, go to them and apologize to them sincerely and let them know that as a child, you violated them and you're sorry for what you did to them, and ask them for forgiveness. Because many of the survivors have gone on with their lives. But it is right that you go and ask for forgiveness. And it doesn't matter now, ASHFORD, for us, whether it's in Liberia, whether it's here. If we find out who they are, we are going after them. We're putting them out there. We're going to name and shame them.
I think we somehow managed to have the former minister, and just for the record, she's not the current minister of gender. She's the former minister. We managed to have her back on via WhatsApp. Madam Minister, are you still there?
I'm here. Sorry, but the connection is raining in Marshall. So I couldn't get back on the video.
But there was a question asked by one of the callers. Did you get to hear the question?
Okay. No, I did not. What's the question?
Grace, can you remind her, please, if you know you can remind her.
He said that most time we focus on Montserrado County, Monrovia area concerning these rape cases, but in the rural areas of Liberia, in these different counties, there's a lot of rape cases that's there, and it's not brought to fruition, like it's not being brought to court. So what did you guys have in place to cramp down on cases like those? And what are they doing now since you're in Liberia? Do you know anything? I think that's one of the part of the question I got. Michael, you have anything?
And the Liberian men leaving America to go home and exploiting the young girls as well. What were they doing about that? That was his question as well.
Okay, let me answer the first question. In all of the counties we had in the courts, because we only have the one criminal e-court in Montserrado. So we have the in-camera court in the magisterial court. So if a child was violated, they were not exposed as a survivor or as a victim, whichever nomenclature you gave them. But they went in camera and told the story. And so they were protected. They were protected. We had safe homes before in all of the counties. Working with our partners, our donors, we have what we call safe homes, and we created a safe space. We relocated survivors because they had to move from where they were living to go to other places. So if you are violated in Bassa, from where I'm from, and you are a survivor, we'll take you to Nimba or the Bomb, so that you didn't get exposed to your community, your family members in the same communities. I'm not sure what is happening now, but we had a gender-based violence task force. And the task force was in every county. And they work along with the Women and Children Protection at the Liberian National Police. We established what's called the one-stop shop centers, where you would go, you report the case, you go to the hospital, you get treated, and you get taken away for your own protection. As it relates to people coming from abroad and violating the kids, I know you might be referring to the case of the guy from the Redemption Hospital.
Tobias Bowen.
Until cases are reported, okay, until they are reported to the ministry, we don't go after them because we don't know. We got whistleblower out there, but sometimes you also have to understand that people get lied on, the stories get told the wrong way, and they have to go through persecution. They have to go through the judiciary system. And it's the judiciary system that has to define whether that person is guilty or not guilty, not the Ministry of Gender, not the GBV task force. Our work was to prevent and protect survivors from being abused and misused. Then we work along. The work at the ministry at the time is cross-cutting. When I say cross-cutting, meaning you work with other line ministries and agencies, the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Information, that is supposed to be disseminating information on these cases. The Ministry of Health, that's supposed to provide the kind of care that these young people or people that have been abused will need. The Ministry of Justice, that's supposed to dispense justice. The Ministry of Gender, Children, and Social Protection is like a whistleblower. They don't have prosecuting power. They don't have arresting power. But as a cabinet ministry, you have that close proximity to the president, to your other cabinet members, that you can tell them this is what is happening and you need to stop.
Okay. Again, folks, if you just...
That's why the ministry is a cross-cutting ministry. You work along with other line ministries and agencies to get the work done.
Can I ask a question here, please?
Yeah, go ahead, Mrs.
So I understand the former minister trying to lay out what their role are as gender ministry. My question is, do you people have a database of all these cases? Are you people or did you people ask what's the status of XYZ case? You understand what I'm saying? Because you being a whistleblower and just blow the whistle and let it go, it's nothing. Were you people doing follow up on these cases to make sure that these people are not in the society? I would think that
Definitely. You are so correct.
so
Yes. We're not just a whistleblower, but we're an advocate. We set policies and procedure. The ministry, when I say we, I'm talking about the ministry. I'm not in the ministry anymore.
Yeah, I understand.
It's supposed to set policy and programs. Yes, you're not just blowing the whistle, but you are supposed to advocate. You give statistics to the government, to the president. On these are the cases. You go to the courts, you follow the courts, and see how many cases are on the dockets. In the 15 counties, you have county coordinators, you have human rights officers in the counties that work along with you. You have NGOs that are working along with you. Okay, so you follow these cases to see how many cases are on the docket, and you get the survivors, you get the parents or the family members to show up to the court so that these cases can be heard. That your work is not only to blow whistle, but to follow through with these cases. And yes, at the time when we're there, in every county has a county coordinator that has a county office that is fully staffed and work along with LMP and the Defense Council and the county authorities. You attend every opening of courts so that when the court is reading the docket to see what cases are on the docket, it is your responsibility to make sure that if you have rape cases or domestic violence cases, that those cases are on the docket, that they will be heard.
Now, Madam Minister, when you served as Minister of Gender during the previous in the previous government, what were some of the justifications that were given? For example, when I visited Liberia last year, there was one such situation where another lady tried to justify why the young lady was allegedly raped. You don't see the kind of short clothes you're wearing, that the clothes you're supposed to wear to come outside. So does that justify want to get raped? And in Liberia, it's 110 degrees, in 100 degrees, and you should wear whatever you want to wear and feel comfortable. That does not justify, does not give you the justification to rape somebody, Madam Minister.
As for the ends, does not justify the means. Let me give you an incident. We have a lot of plantations. We have Firestone, we got Locke, we got what they used to call Eugenia Goodrich in Bombing County. We got different concessions areas. In the concession areas, in the mining areas, is where most of these violence take places. There was an incident. I'm not going to name the name of the company, okay? But a little boy, 14 years old, violated his sister. And when he was asked why, he thought nothing of it because he said he saw his father doing it and he saw his uncle doing it. He thought it was a normal thing.
Wow.
Because they all live in the same room. The father will come from work after he drink a palm wine or a king juice, wherever. If the wife wasn't there, whoever he saw first, he used them. And so the son grew up in that room and thought it was a normal thing to do. And so he started doing it. And when he got caught, he said, but I didn't do anything. Why are you blaming me? Look at my pa, look at my uncle. And he thought this was a normal thing in the family. So it has to do with societal. It's a society.
I don't like to hear that.
Okay, so as much as we take care of the survivors or the victims, we must make sure that the perpetrators are also counseled, that they are given the proper training and knowledge that when they get out of jail, they don't go out there and think it's the right thing to do. People get out of jail, they go right back to committing the same crime because we never provided them with psychosocial counseling. We do not have that in place. We look at the survivors for protection, but most of the perpetrators are also victims. They are victims of circumstances, some of them, not the ones who just abruptly abuse our girls. But some of them just know that it's a normal thing. And they think nothing. They feel no guilt, no remorse. Because they saw their father, they saw their uncle, they saw their brother doing the exact same thing. So they thought that it was a way of life. So measures need to be put in place for the perpetrators, for the victims, for the survivors. We call them survivors and not victims because they are not victims. They are survivors. They survived that incident, that terrible incident. They need to be protected. But it's a societal issue. As we talk about rape right now, today in Liberia, where is the next day, there were 3 cases today in Monserrado that were reported. How many other cases are there in the rural counties that have not been reported or have been compromised? The more we talk about it, the more people are reporting these cases. So what is the way forward? How do we solve this problem? People talk about castration. They talk about mob justice. They talk about murder.
Death penalty.
Is that penalty? Yeah. Is that going to solve the problem? The mothers.
Yes, Madam Minister.
Yes, it's gonna deter
I have
people.
a question for you quick. In some of the cases, it will solve the problem. In a case like Tobias Bowen is a notorious serial rapist. This man started molesting his daughter from the age of 5, and he molested her till she was 14 and started on a 10-year-old one. Who knows whether he even started when she was 10? Maybe she was even less than that. People like Tobias, you have to remove his testicle right away. Life in prison, or even life in prison. When he's in prison, he may try to start molesting the little boys that go there for minor crimes. So people like that cannot survive in society. The man has no control of himself. So now the state has to come in to help him by removing his testicle, which is a very, very minor surgery, that he will not have feeling toward having sex with any woman or any child. So in some cases, it does work. We're not saying castration for every rapist, but we're saying castration for some of the rapists like Tobias Bowen and the people who rape little babies, the 8 months old and the 2 years old, using razor blade to cut a 3 years old. Those people are not normal. We have this, the state have to help them. The country has to help them in our form. And we just what you said about the prevention methods. The Liberia has not put anything in place concerning prevention. Prevention in as working with the perpetrators as well. How can you get these people? How can you counsel them? How can you talk to them concerning what they're doing is wrong and what way moving forward that they can change it around? So all those things as what we talk about. But castration is very important when it comes to the raping Liberia this day and age, because some of the men that are doing these things, they just can't help themselves.
Okay, I'm not sure. Is this Margaret? Margaret?
No, that's
did you bring castration?
That's Grace.
Okay, Grace. The issue with castration, okay, it's easy to talk about, but people use other objects. They use their fingers. They use different objects. The little girl that was cut with a blade. You cut the man castration. You cut his penis out. Okay, he can use a hammer. He can use a stick. He can use anything else to violate that child. That is not solving the problem. I'm sorry.
Madam Minister, to just get it right. When the castration, when they remove your testicle, you will not have
feeling the problem.
You will not have feeling to have sex. That's what we say.
Grace, let us not put emotion, because it's beyond emotion. If people tell you about me, there were things that maybe we could have done during my time that did not happen. But when you're sitting on the outside and looking from within, castration, murder, it's just sugarcoating the issue. It's deeper than that. If you tell people you're going to castrate the father or the pastor or the bishop, you will not hear for the cases. They'll compromise the cases.
But I don't understand. It seems like this former minister just when you twist it so.
It's happening in the churches. It's happening in the school. It's happening in the home. They will tell you the man are the breadwinner. So because of that, they will not want you to be killed. They will not tell you that they raped their child. They will compromise it more than ever before. It's just sugarcoating the case. I've been here, I live here, I've breathed it. I got 2 daughters. I got 3 granddaughters. I have a son. And it's not only the girls that are being abused. Our boys are being sodomized. And
Madam Minister,
men, but women.
Madam Minister, we were hit like
using our boys.
She's not giving me chance. So that's
and what do you do to that woman? You cut her clitoris out?
Yes, you do cut her clitoris out.
She's a teacher. She's abusing a boy. What do you do to her?
You cut her clitoris off because when she have her clitoris is removed, she have no feeling to she don't have feelings for sex. You can have sex with her all you want, and there is no feelings there. So therefore, you cut her clitoris off. When it comes to the men, when you take out the testicle, they have no feeling toward women, so they will not even use their finger because they don't have any tendency to have sex. All they want to do is just eat and live the rest of their life.
You have more cases that will be compromised.
So I'm just saying that the former minister keep
the family.
Yeah, but we cannot continue to think about cases being compromised. We are continuing to think about the survivors in this matter. The survivors are the people who are suffering. That 3-year-old girl might never be herself, she might not have child again. The other little girl that people at the same time might never have children again. So what about her? So if we always think about the perpetrator and forget about the victims,
I agree.
Okay, for Madam Minister and the team, let us go back to the telephone line. We have Dr. Peters on the line. Hello, Dr. Peter. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, ASHFORD. I think tonight is a wonderful conversation. A conversation being held by women that really should know the hurt of being raped as a young child. I want to thank the former minister for coming up, and I think that back and forth is worth it, but at the same time, it's not making progress in what we need to do in Liberia. I think, and I'm going to ask the minister this before I go further, have anybody suggested to the legislature to bring about capital punishment in Liberia for these cases, be it men or women? Mm-hmm. Have anybody ever suggested that we need to have
a lot of talk about capital punishment, okay? And like I said, and I will continue to say, from a human rights standpoint, capital punishment in our country will only sugarcoat these issues because our people will continue to hide the cases, to continue to compromise the cases.
Okay,
so my next came online, but I told you about an incident of a representative who was a former resident judge of a county. And this man violated a little girl. Okay, and he was arrested and put in jail behind bars. This man was only released by his colleagues. And today, he's not a representative, but he's back in the county as a judge.
For the mere fact that you're not even calling his name here, you are hiding him so we don't know him. These people's name need to be called out.
The records are there.
I mean, some of us don't know the story. Since you know the story, call up their names.
Hold on, guys.
So we can know their names.
Just speak one at a time, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. So my next question is, what are we doing about sex education in the country? Are we educating our children appropriately? Are we letting them know that it's okay to talk to their parents when these things happen? Because if we continue trying to shame the parents, lay the blames on the parents and lay the blame on the children, we really would not get anywhere. But if we start teaching sex education early on in these children, early primary education, probably at times they would get up and say, Mama, I went to school today and XYZ happened. But our children, from the way we were raised, our children are so afraid to talk to us when it comes to sex. So I think we need to start teaching our kids sex education from a very small age. At this time, what we have so much of rape issue, be it a boy or a girl, because they're raping the boys the same way they're raping the girls. So be it a boy or girl, we need to start this sex education in our country as early as possible. What are your thoughts on that?
Thank you. Again, Madam Minister.
Let me just answer in a short form. That you are so right. During our administration, sex education was introduced into the school. You know how we were able to fight Ebola in this country? It's by reputation. Children learn by reputation. We taught the children how to wash their hands with soap and water. So at the time when Ebola came out, the children were the one that taught the parents how to avoid Ebola by washing their hands with soap and water. So we introduced it. We worked along with the Ministry of Education. We came up with a sex education program from elementary school to junior high. We are not in the government right now. We hope that government continuity. We hope that this government is going to work on that. I can't speak for it, but we believe we work on the code of conduct for teachers. We work on the code of conduct for students, and we work on sex education during the time of George Warner as Minister of Education. Those were things as line ministry, as the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. We are cross-cutting, but we work along with line ministries. So the Ministry of Education was one of our biggest. With UNICEF, with support from UNICEF, sex education, code of conduct for the teachers that they had to sign. If it's being implemented, I can speak on that. But those are some of what we work on during our time.
Okay.
Because children learn from an early stage by repetition. So if we taught the children from elementary school about their body parts, about sexual harassment, they will grow up knowing what it is. By the time they get there, nobody will disturb their lives.
Okay, thank you, Madam Minister. We want to take three more callers, and then we'll go to the panelists for them to have their said. We have Mr. Saul on the line from Rhode Island. Hello, Saul.
Yeah, Ashford, good evening and to all of your panelists. I think this is a very good conversation, and I want to thank the minister for coming on and our sisters, these ladies that are taking out their time. But what I've come to realize, it is good that we are having this sort of conversation, and I think it has to go on. But one of the things I've realized, the enforcement aspect, Ashford, that is the key. Because there are certain people within the establishment, or there are certain people because of their certain position, crimes are committed, and these people are given the pathway. So it doesn't help the problem. We can talk here, and I want to agree with what the minister is saying. Yes, we can talk about capital punishment, people should castrate people, all of that. But are we getting to the bottom line to really address the issue? There are a lot of factors, there are a lot of civil society or other organizations that are involved. All of these people and the citizenry themselves, they have also got to get involved that this is a very serious problem. It is a serious crisis, and it has to be addressed. But when we take it because it is happening now, we want to get a quick fix, I'm afraid that we would not achieve our goal. But I think the ladies and everybody on the same page, having this sort of conversations, it definitely getting it out there. But we have to be realistic. We have to be sincere. We have to realize it is a serious problem. It is a national problem. And government itself has to step up to the task to make sure that this thing is put to a rest, because it's killing the future of our country. I want to thank the panelists, the ladies, taking up their time. And I think all of us in this business, including you, for us to put more time in it, because about our national pride is fitting if we don't address this.
Thank you. Thank you, veteran. Thank you. Okay, we'll take two more callers and go back to the panelists, then the minister. The 215 number, the last four digits of your number, 1595. Please tell us your name.
Thank you very much, the giant. This is your younger brother from Pennsylvania, Anthony Gay.
Hey, Mr. Gay, welcome to the show, my man.
Yeah, thank you. I want to say thank you to your panelists, to the beautiful women from Liberia. The conversation is very fascinating. Here's what I have to say tonight about rape. I condemn every form of rape. That's point number one. Point number two, I am also against capital punishment. And here is for why. I am a Christian. I don't believe in taking life that I cannot give for one. But I also believe that every person who violates the law of the land should have his or her punishment under our laws in Liberia. The part of the reason why rape is continuing to increase, and I would say it has increased exponentially under this administration, is because it has not been taken seriously. Now, it is not the fault of this government from the get-go. This problem has long been in existence over 50 decades of our nation, or even more. But rape have increased under this administration exponentially. So what do we do now? I heard on the focus on Liberia show, when the deputy minister of the general ministry were on that show, he said, and I'll paraphrase what he said, that there is only one court currently in Liberia that is handling the rape issue in Liberia. If that is true, then we are off for a serious mess. Number three thing here is that everyone, including the executive mansion, should take this thing very seriously. And I believe that this rape issue is a national security issue in Liberia. It is a national security issue. If the woman or the young men and women that are going through the molestation right now feel unsafe, their life has been destroyed. Some of them will bounce back, some of them will not bounce back psychologically.
Thank you.
And if we don't do anything about this thing, our nation will go crazy. So it begins with the family, and let us do the American style. When there is a rape circumstances, family have no involvement at all.
Thank you.
Once the DA pick up the case, you're done. You cannot take it as a family level anymore. I think that's what we should do in Liberia.
Thank you.
When the government take on that case, the family have no say again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gay. One last caller, then we'll go back to the panelists. We have Mrs. Rabbits on the line. Hello.
Yes, hi. Good evening, Mr. Garley, and good evening to our wonderful ladies. Thank you all for lending your voice to this issue. It is definitely a condemnable issue. It saddens all of us as women, as mothers, as sisters, and to know that a country call itself on that its own Christian principle continues to grow in this number. While it is true rape is a worldwide issue, but why is it so rampant? One of my observations, I think, is also an economic issue. It's not just lack of awareness. Why we need more awareness, as Dr. Peter said, not only in the pre-K, we should do that at home. Mothers and fathers, we're not going to just put on mothers, should teach their children that no man should touch you. But again, it goes back to the economics, because mothers, as we have seen, have to go out and be breadwinners as well. And when they're gone, their children are not supervised. Unlike other countries where you leave your child with a babysitter, where if anything happens, you hold that person accountable. In Liberia, your child roams in the neighborhood. The very house that they're in, maybe playing with another neighbor's child, is that very neighbor that is taking advantage of the children.
Thank you.
I spoke to someone, Mr. Garley, 1 second. The economic issue is very bad. Young kids, I've seen where men come from other countries, visiting neighboring countries, and come, they stay in the yard. Nobody knows who these men are, but they're here living with the children, they play with the kids, they give them candy, and those little things. Awareness. Capital punishment, I oppose. The reason is our country is already in a dire state from all of the punishment, the killing that it has happened.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
That it should be paraded in the streets, and there should be a separate jail for just rapists.
Thank you.
So they can rape each other all they want, that's on them, but they should not be with normal people. I thank you all, ladies. Great job, and we all support this cause.
Thank you. We'll go back to the panelists. I want to begin with Mrs. Johnson, Margaret Johnson, and you were in a little exchange there with the former minister. We can begin with you, go to Mrs. Ivy, and then we'll go back to Mrs. Goa. So go ahead, Mrs. Johnson. You might want to unmute your phone, please.
I was just a little bit frustrated. It seemed like she kept just giving excuses why nothing can be happen, and you get frustrated when you know that something can be done. You understand? It's just a matter of somebody having the willpower to carry on punishment on these men or women that are perpetrating these girls and boys. So I was kind of frustrated. She said, "Oh, we did it. You can't do it this way. It's a society issue. It's a society issue." It's a society issue. If we make it become a society issue, that's why we're speaking up now. So it do not become a society issue. I cannot speak for when I was 1 or 2 years old. I can only blame the adults during those times that never spoke up, and maybe because they did not have no voice to speak up. That's why it became a society issue. But now at this age, seeing what I see now, I mean, I'm speaking up, so it cannot become a society issue like it did back in the days. Back in the days, the women didn't have no voice, where the men were dominant over them, and that's why they did things, and it became the norm because they had to shut up and not say anything. But this is a new day and age. We will speak up on everything that we know is not right. You understand? And it goes to the gender base, because men feel that they're supposed to be supreme over women. That's why they do these things. What about the story with the girl? I think it was Montgomery's story. The little girl going to the school to clean up the school. The very administrator pull her in the bush and rape her. What do you say about that? Is he? She said, "Oh, we know psychosocial this and that." No, that because he feels that he has power over her, that's why he did that. You understand? So, and I think also the government should have the in the different dialects on the radio. People should come up so it can go out to the different county. The people who don't understand English well understand it in their language. There's a way the government can do that to send a message across to the different counties, to the rural areas, for those perpetrators, and that so that they can know there will be punishment for rape cases. But maybe it's not being done that way. So these people just do whatever they want to do. But I mean, yeah, go ahead, sir.
We'll go to Mrs. Added, Mrs. Goa, then we'll come back to the minister.
Yes, my frustration is with all those that are against capital punishment, but can't seem to say what else we should do with these rapists, because everybody say, "Oh no, you can't put them to death, you can't do this." What do we do with them then? We can't just keep them in prison, but like the minister clearly says, some of them are repeat offenders. You send them to jail, and they come out of jail and they go back and rape. So if we can't castrate them, because it's going to be a problem if we castrate them and people find out they're not going to report cases, we can't put them to death. Okay, because it's capital punishment, it's against this, we're a Christian nation, we're that nation. We can't do those two. Okay, then we can't even put them in jail. Because as it is right now, we can't even put them in jail. So what do? We just let them roam the streets? What people who are against capital punishment and castration and everything else, what are they proposing that we do to these rapists? You talking about death penalty? That child that was raped and died and rushed to the hospital and died immediately, she was given a death penalty and without her doing anything. That's a death penalty right there. That man gave her a death penalty. Who talks about that? Isn't that a death penalty? So if he can give somebody that kind of death penalty, a little child, why should we be tiptoeing around you? Them? Oh, we can't put them to death. Meanwhile, we can't even put them in jail. The justice system that is in place right now is setting them free. So what do? If that is the case, then I mean, everybody that's out here advocating and talking about rape just need to shut up and just let things go on the way it's going on in Liberia. Because what do we do is frustrating. People, children are dying every day. The numbers are coming in on, I mean, at a high volume. Every day the numbers are coming in. People are in our inboxes sending all these gruesome pictures. You know, so I mean, I'm kind of frustrated as to say, what do we do? Castration is no. Death penalty is no. Meanwhile, they're not even going to jail. They go to jail, they bribe the judge, the judge sells his ethics, he sells his morals, he sells his integrity, he sells his education for only $50 and tell the man run away so that they don't catch you. They put him in jail. They got only 2 court terms in Liberia. If they don't get to them, they set them free until they can get to them. Meanwhile, they will never get to those cases. So what do we do as Liberians to address the rape issue? That's what I'm asking for everyone out there that's against everything that we are petitioning or proposing. What are they proposing that we do? That is my question to them, ASHFORD.
Thank you. We'll go back to Mrs. Goa, then we'll come back to the minister. Mrs. Goa.
ASHFORD, the little girl who died from looking time was bleeding as they rushed her to the hospital. She was given the death penalty. I know the minister said that she also a human rights advocate, but you got to understand that human rights are also children's rights. And if we come here and we sit here and just try to tiptoe around this whole rape issue and we can't do this and we can't do that, how does this thing stop in our country? An example has to be set. An example has to be set. Just the other day, 2 weeks ago in America here, they executed a man who raped a 10-year-old girl. He stayed in jail for some time and he was on the death row and they executed him for that rape because it was gruesome. Until an example is set, until we can put in place for the capital punishment as far as castration, it's not taking away somebody's life. It's removing the underpart or the testicles or the clitoris so they can't have the need to have sex with children or force somebody to have sex with them if they don't want to. Until we can decide that these things will set an example, Liberia will not be going forward. If we want to tiptoe around, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that, but other children can die when the man raped them, but they can't kill the man, they can't do this to him, and they can't do that to him. Until we can set an example for people like Tobias Bowen, who now is in on South Beach, giving a special treatment. He's sleeping in a whole different area from the rest of the prisoners, and he's a notorious rapist. Until we can set an example on people like those, Liberia will not go anywhere when it comes to rape. We'll all be tiptoe around the issues, and the country will just go into a sinking place. Gender-based violence is everybody's responsibility. Keeping silent makes you part of the problem, and we will not keep silent. We as LWANI team will not keep silent.
Thank you. I want to go back to the minister. Madam Minister, you heard the cries of the panelists and, of course, the callers. What would you recommend as a solution? We heard people talk about the capital punishment. We also heard people talk about castration. What would you recommend as a solution for a solution?
Let me say that I hear the cry in everyone's voice. Be passionate. It has to come from your belly. I am a mother. I'm a grandmother. I lived in the States for 30 plus years. I'm from Liberia. I came back home. I made that decision to come home, to give back, and I'm still here. And no one is more passionate. No one is more passionate about the work that I do when it comes to children, when it comes to the protection of women. I agree, everybody has their own saying, but I've represented Liberia on many occasions. Capital punishment does not solve the problem. I'm a Christian. I don't believe that if someone kills, you kill them back to revenge. I believe after our war, the guns were taken away, but the violence remained here. The guns were taken away, but the abuse is still here. The guns were taken away. Our people got killed. Our people are still being violated in different forms and manner. Okay? So to sugarcoat, right now, people are so afraid, even the young girls that protested for 3 days are being haunted for coming out and speaking out what they believe in. But you either stand for something or you stand for nothing at all. It's easy to stay back and talk about it, but come on the ground and the reality will hit you. I believe that our children need to be protected. I believe that education, until we can educate our people on the rights of the children. You have a mother watching Nigerian movie and her daughter is being violated in the very house she's staying in because she has the movie so loud. What is her role to that child? Yes, government has a role to play. Yes, the activists have a role to play. But we as parents, we have a role to play. We as community dwellers, we have a role to play. I go to the streets. I walk my neighborhood. Everybody in my neighborhood know who I am. And by the time I come, they say, oh, the minister, I want to come here again. But I play my role. So until collectively, respectively, we can appreciate, no one person has the answer. No one person. And we're not going to put name or blame anybody. I agree. It's a crisis that's going on in our country. And because of the work that some of us have done, and people before us, our predecessor, that people are talking about rape. When we were growing up, people were fingering their children around here. People were doing insects. Nobody was talking about it. But because of the awareness, because of education, people can report these cases. We need to build on that. We need to give credit where credit is due. We need to build on it, and we need to move our country forward. Enough is enough. What is the way forward? All of us collectively, as gender-based violence activists, as champions of women and children's rights, we need to come together and find a way forward. How do we approach? I said to you about the case in one of our plantations. I said to you about the case of a judge. I can even tell you a case about a renowned journalist whose niece was abused. When they brought it to our attention, we were about to go arrest. And the family compromised a renowned journalist in the Republic of Liberia. They ran away with that case. So it's easy to sit aside and say what you want to do and what you can't do.
Madam Minister,
but you can't do it on the ground.
Madam Minister, let me ask you this.
Issue,
how many cases did you receive when you served as minister just before the new government, and how many of those cases was solved and unsolved?
Let me say, every year I served as minister for 6 years. 6 years, the first year I was Minister of Gender and Development. I transformed the ministry into Ministry of Gender, Children, and Social Protection because the issue of children were not in one particular ministry. So I combined the ministry. I took social welfare from the Ministry of Health and I combined it into the Ministry of Gender, Children, and Social Protection to give the children. So we set up the children forum that was started by my predecessor, but we built on it. And we gave the children a voice so that they too could speak out for themselves. The number of cases every year, I don't have the statistics on hand, but every year at the 16 days of activism, we gave the reports. We went to the courts and we got the reports on how many cases were reported, how many cases were on the dockets, how many cases were adjudicated. But you also in rape, besides the children, you cannot, like you said, you cannot rape a 3-year-old child and tell me because of the dress code. There are cases where you have 16, 17 years old that will go out, and when you start seeing them, they call the case rape. So you go to the court and you prove yourself guilty or not guilty. But when it comes to children under the age, now you will take a razor blade because you can't penetrate that child and you rip that child. You cut that child. That case, the judges, the jurors I'm not a judge. But I'm saying if anybody in their rightful mind has bore a child for 9 months and can see something like that and say that person did not do it and let that person go free, then we have a problem in our country. But we cannot solve it individually. It can only be done collectively. So I admire all of them. I applaud them for the work. And I want them to join the GBV task force on the ground. Less with a current organization that is on the ground. Some of them are already doing that. And we saw the effect of it during the march. We saw the results right now. The August term of court is on. We have people going from the different courts to see how many rape cases are on the dockets, how many gender-based violence cases. Besides rape, the men are wasting acid water on their wives. They're still burning the child here. A woman is still burning her child here for $5, $3. We see people putting people on the coal to sit on the fire. So there are a lot of domestic violence cases besides just rape. But I want to applaud this group and want to encourage them. Don't give up. My voice is only to add and to encourage you all to join the group that's on the ground and work along with them. And let us make sure that the law is enforced to the letter. And let us continue to talk about it. The more we educate our people, the more we talk about it, the more it will resonate in the churches. I go from church to church and tell the pastors they don't talk about it in a sermon. I'll go up for announcement and make sure I talk about it. I go to the mosque and I'll talk about it. The amount of children I have in my yard because they were abandoned, they were abused, and they needed safe places. But no one person can solve the problem of Liberian children alone. It has to be done collectively. When I talk about a societal issue, I only meant that we as parents or we as Liberians need to encourage our family to take care of their children. When you go into the villages, I was superintendent before I became minister. I was superintendent at work in interior.
I want you to hold that thought, Madam Minister.
Why they have so many children, they said I call gifts.
I want you to please
hold
that
and they
thought.
don't take care of their children. So let us work together collectively.
Thank you.
In solving the issue of our children. Thanks for the platform. Thanks to all of our partners. You can never solve it alone, and everybody will have their own. But I do not, and I repeat, do not believe in capital punishment. It's only sugarcoating the issue.
I want you to please stay right there. I will go back in the room with my panelists. All right, and then we'll come back to you to give us your closing statement, and then we can call.
It's 2 o'clock in the morning.
I know, but you are doing such an awesome job and in saying some things that most people didn't know about. But if you have to go to bed now, that's okay. We'll plan.
No, I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm fine.
I want to go back in the room now where Mrs. Margaret Johnson is standing by to give us her thoughts following what the minister just said, and then we'll work our way to Mrs. Addy and Mrs. Gore. As always, please unmute your phone.
I still didn't get any answer from the minister when the question viewer asked. I did not hear no answer. What is it that, since we propose all these things and she against it, what does she propose happen to these perpetrators? I didn't hear no answer. And it's frustrating.
Can I answer that?
Yeah, come in, Madam Minister, come in.
Okay. What do I propose? I'm the former minister. I'm not the current minister. I'm the former minister. But from being within, and now that I'm out, and from what is happening, I'm proposing collectively that we start a massive education, that we encourage the Ministry of Education to start right now we're working on civic education in all the schools. But in civic education, we start sex education from the primary level. Because like I said before, children learn by repetition. So if we start it now and we include that in the curriculum of the schools, we can make headway in the schools, and we circulate it to the churches, to the mosques, and we gather it in the marketplaces. We simplify it. We simplify the curriculum so that everybody can be able to understand it, read it, and comprehend it. That is what I'm proposing is education first, education second, and education last. Education is the way forward. Let us educate our parents, let us educate our teachers and our community. That these children need to be protected by us.
So, I just want you to understand that we're just having a conversation. And we're
now I understand the education, but I'm getting frustrated. The education are for the kids that have not been violated yet. My question is, what are you proposing to these people who have violated people? We understand the education. We're going to do it for tea, breakfast, and dinner. We're going to do the education. We're going to go on social media. We're going to have shows. We're going to talk about it. That's for the kids that have not been violated yet. We understand that. But what about the cases where the kids have been violated? There are perpetrators out there. What do you propose be done to these people? Because you're saying that castration, you don't want castration, you don't want death penalty, you want none of that. We exactly.
We have to find out why are they doing what they're doing. Okay? Like I told you about the incident in Firestone. The guy said because he saw his pa and his brother then doing it. So we have to find out the root causes. Once we find out as counselors, we counsel them. We treat them and tell them, no, it's not the right thing to do. People do things for different reasons. Poverty. Okay? The lack of the family. They saw somebody else doing it, so they thought it was the right thing to do. So you can get somebody or you kill them. It's not going to solve the problem. You have to teach them. Provide psychosocial counseling. After the war, a lot of people did not get psychosocial counseling. They took the guns away, but their minds were still disturbed.
Hold on, Madam.
So how do we diffuse their minds?
We have to make progress here. Just so you know, she's no longer the policymaker at the Ministry of Gender. You know,
but I'm a stakeholder.
She's a stakeholder, and she's in the country, so she's just giving her piece. But you know what? I think we need to take a break. All right, take a break and go back to the telephone line. This gentleman has been very persistent. He's been on for a long time. If you can't meet your phone and you call in, I will turn your phone off, please. It's a 215 number 205-1595. Tell us your name.
Yeah, this is Anthony. I'm calling back in because
Anthony, I beg you, we don't have the time. You call fresh. We took your call.
No, because
here's the reason why I'm sorry, Anthony. I'm very sorry. 267-776-5983. Please tell us your name.
Yeah, Loli, how you doing?
How you doing, Loli?
Yeah, thank you to the mother that's speaking, and thank you to the beautiful three ladies that are up there. I did criminal justice administration, and I have BSc in criminal justice administration. Modern criminal justice says, and I quote, that you have to educate. That's one. Two, those that are raping children, you need to take them out of the street. This is how you do it. You put them certain area, the Belayara. If there is Belayara still existing, you give those people 25 years time in prison. If you are 15, 25, 30, 40 years old, Lodi, and you rape a child, even to take their private part from out of them, it will not solve the problem, as the minister is saying. Lock these people off for 25, 30, 45 years. If you are 35 years old and rape somebody, and the government put you in jail for 40 and 50 years, when you come from in jail, what do? Nothing. You will not do anything. And now go to what the minister said about women raping little boys. If a boy come up tomorrow and tell you, say, look, this woman raped me, nobody will believe that boy. Nobody will believe that man. And they talk about taking, you know, we have no tradition way back home to reduce the sex feeding of the woman.
Lodi, you got 1 minute.
I come in.
We're out of time. You got 1 minute, please.
Yeah, when we do it these days, these same women will come out and say it is wrong. So the only best way to do that is to put these people in jail for certain numbers of years, 50 years for all rapists in the Republic of Liberia. That will stop it. Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll take one more caller and go back to the rest of the panelists and call this a night. Murphy is on the line from Minnesota. Hello, Murphy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, ASHFORD. Let me say thanks to the ladies, the panelists. But I'm telling you, ASHFORD, I am in tears and so disappointed in the former minister. And let me say this. To answer a simple question, what do we do to these people who are perpetrating these crimes against our children? The minister said we must find out why they're doing it. She stayed in any government for 6 years, and stayed there 12 years. Why didn't they find out? That we should be finding out? ASHFORD? This is very serious. And all of the women want to know, and I want to know, what do we do? Now, education is the before the fact. What do we do after the fact? I want you to answer. I'm disappointed, ASHFORD. I'm very disappointed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I want to go to Mrs. Gore now. Mrs. Gore?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, come in. And with the pardon coming, you just had the minister. The minister does not support capital punishment.
So, and that's the frustration for us on the panel tonight, and also for the last caller. So if you don't support any of the things that we are putting forth to the government to do, the question is then what do we do? So even if the last caller before the caller before the last caller said that 25 years in prison. So when those people go to prison, how sure are you they're not going to molest little boys in prison as well? Since they are new rapists and new molesters. Certain people in society are sick and there is nothing you can do about it. Either you decide, I get a government two options. Either you decide to put these people in prison for life, or you decide to remove their testicles so they cannot have feeling towards sex. The people in Liberia and the people Liberians in America are not getting it. Removing testicles is such an easy surgery. It only helps the person not to get feeling toward having sex with nobody. So if you people don't want these people to go to prison, you don't want them to remove their testicles. Education on what? You know how long they've been educating? We was in Liberia. I was born in the 70s. Yes, I was in school. I was in B.W. Harris School. I went to Liberia Mission, and they taught us there about touching and not touching people when they don't like it. I learned those things. So I don't know what school some of these people went to, and they're saying that education. When things are wrong, they are wrong, and when it's right, it's right. The only way out right now, the way rape has taken over the country and has become a culture, and little children are dying, and children, mothers, and boys, and getting sodomized and destroyed for life. We have to send a message. I keep on saying the government needs to send a message. They need to decide to send somebody to life in prison, or they need to decide to castrate somebody. Period. That's how I feel. And I will continue to consistently say that. I have no other statement going further.
Okay, we'll go to Mrs. Adi, but the minister often also mentioned education. She mentioned counseling. How do you respond, Mrs. Adi?
I mean, my response is just out of frustration, because I do believe that setting an example is a form of education also. Now, what is the example that we're waiting to set for people to see that as an education? Education is not only in the classroom. Education is all around us. It's in our day-to-day lives, the way we go about doing things, the way we carry ourselves, the example that we set. It's all around us. We cannot wait to get in a classroom to start teaching people about how to do this and how to do that. Most of the perpetrators are already out here. They're so old. Some of the people they're not even receptive to any form of counseling. And she even mentioned that even if we take out the testicles, some of them will come back out. They might use a hammer, or they might use stick, or they might use something. In that case, those people are crazy people. They deserve nothing but the worst and punishment. They deserve nothing but the worst punishment in my view. And like I said, all those little girls and little babies that they're raping, they're giving those innocent children the death penalty right away. How can you be a Christian? You're a Christian, you're in a Christian nation. A baby can be given a death penalty by rape. A little girl can be given a death penalty by rape, and that is okay. But taking the perpetrator and in turn giving him another death penalty, all of a sudden is wrong. Something is not adding up. It does not make sense. So it's okay for innocent children now to die, but it's not okay for those who kill them, basically the murderers, to get any form of punishment at all. We cannot castrate them. We cannot put them to death. And in the meanwhile, like I said, they cannot even sentence them to 1 month in jail, but we're talking about putting them in jail for 25 years, as it is right now. They can't even keep them in a prison compound, because when they're in prison, you will send them to prison. You got to pay for them to eat. When they get sick, they're calling you because you the one caused them to go to jail, so you got to go and take care of their health care. I mean, who's gonna be responsible for that? Who wants to take on that kind of responsibility? And like I said, we did not get any answer to on what we should do, because everybody will come out and say they're against, and they will never say what they're for. They only fall back to, we are a Christian nation. I'm a Christian. We cannot do this. We cannot do that. In the meanwhile, nobody can tell us what we should do. These people are sick people. There's nothing we can do for them. An example needs to be set. And setting an example is a form of education, and we need that education to be implemented right now. I don't care whatever the example is, because what's going to happen is that the people in the communities, people in the neighborhood, and people in the country are going to start taking matters into their own hands. And then what happens? What happens when people in the community start catching people and murdering them? Is that when the government is going to step in and do something? Because that's where we're heading to, ASHFORD. That's exactly where we're heading to, because we're telling people out there, if the government cannot do anything about you. I have family members that I've spoken to, and they told me straight up, if anybody touch my child, I ain't even waiting for no police. You guess who will be going to the prison? I will be going to the prison. It will not be the perpetrator. So we can talk all these things. Like I said, people can tiptoe around it and say, I'm against this, I'm against that, and have nothing to propose. In the meantime, the citizens of Liberia are getting frustrated, and sooner or later they will start taking matters into their hand, and everything will go from bad to worse.
Okay, well, thank you. And finally, Mrs. Johnson, just before we conclude with the president and get some post-interview analysis from Minister Duncan, I need you to please come in.
Okay, you want me to come in with my closing statement? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
You don't look happy today. You know, sometimes we have to take emotion out of things. You're an advocate.
I am not well. I just had surgery on Monday, but I had to be here today. That's why maybe you see my face squinching or something. Okay. But what I would like to say is thanks for having us on your show. We as LWANI, we are not going to stop, fighting for this bad illness to resonate in Liberia. Yes, it been happening, because that's all we get. As soon as we say something about rape, they're talking about, oh, like it been happening before and this and that. You can't hold me responsible for stuff that other people didn't take charge of. But we're saying today, we are taking charge of this illness that wants to resonate in Liberia, and we're putting our foot down on it and saying no, it will not happen. I just a little frustrated with the minister, just like we said, tipping toes around, giving suggestions on what should have been done. But in her defense, I understand she's not the justice. She's not part of the justice system, but at the same time, she cannot be saying, "Oh, you cannot do this and you cannot do that." I think you should be able to say, "Okay, I was in this and we did this and we did that, but this is what I think should help." But you cannot just come and just cut us off on what we want done, and you saying no, it cannot be done, but don't give a solution. And I also want to say that the government has a very big role to play in this, in clamping down on rape in Liberia, because there's so many things they can do. They can we should talk about the learning processes, all in the local dialects. It can be played on the radio on when a man or a woman rape a child, what's going to happen to them. That's a form of education for it to sink in their face. But the more education that they will get will be punishment when they see one of their colleagues being punished or put to shame in the street for raping a child. So again, I want to say thanks for having us on your show. We will not relent. We will not stop. We will keep forging forward until somebody do something.
Okay, again, I thank you, Mrs. Johnson. We want to go back to Mrs. Guo for her closing statement, then Vero, and then we'll come back to the minister to give us her post-interview analysis, and then we can call this a night. Mrs. Gore.
If we continue to lose our little girls and boys and our women to rape in Liberia, the country is gonna be losing a lot. We have to look at it. We have to look into the future when we talk about this. This is why it's so painful when we talk about it, because Liberia is just going to a sinking place when it comes to this rape culture thing. And we want to encourage, I will speak out to the advocates out there. Do not relent. Most of you guys are already in contact with us. You know what we can do. I want to let the minister know that we support a lot of the advocates, the advocacy group out there in Liberia already. So we are in contact with them on a daily basis. We know what's going on. I want to encourage them out there to not give up the fight. We're going to join you guys after this pandemic. We're going to come to Liberia. We're going to stand with you. But keep on fighting the fight, because we're not giving up here. We don't want you to give up there. A 68-year-old woman by the name of Mary Holding, she sat in a chair knitting her whatsoever sweater or something on the lawn of a lawmaker or the lawn of an attorney in, I think, Kentucky, and his name is Daniel Cameroon. She sat in front of her house, and she protested by herself because she wanted justice for Breonna Taylor. So you guys don't give up. We are not going to relent. We are not going to stop. We want our government to serve us, and we want the government to do something concerning rape. Something has to be done, and we want it to be done now. We're not going to wait for education. We're not going to wait for awareness. We want something to be done. It's an urgent call. Our children and our women are dying. Our little boys are being sodomized and destroyed. We cannot take this any longer. We want them to continue the fight, and we will continue here with you. You guys know how to get in contact with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's the voice of the president of LWANI, making her presence known here tonight. We want to go to Mrs. Adit, and then after that, we can call this a night. Mrs. Adit.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, it's funny how people are not against female circumcision, but yet and still they're against taking out of grown men testicles. They go and do female circumcision to take away her sexual desires, but yet and say a perpetrator who rapes, they're against taking out his testicle. That just it says volume that women are always subjected to things that men are not subjected to, and it's not supposed to be so. Across the board, if you can circumcise a female to take away her sexual desire, someone who commits a crime, that should be no problem. His testicles should come out. We're not talking about cutting his whole private out. We're talking about taking out his balls. It does nothing for him. It takes away his desire. The same way you take away the woman's desire. And I don't see why people got so much problem with castration, you know. And I just wanted to say to the groups out there, you know, they're doing a good job. I want to tell our brothers and sisters in Liberia that power belongs to the people. Yes, we do have people who sit in the seat of government to make sure that the country is governed correctly, but the power belongs to the people. And we were on another show the other day, and I learned that 60% of the voting population in Liberia are women. So if you're destroying the women and children, what kind of message are you sending to them? What are you trying to tell them? That you're trying to eradicate them, that you're trying to reduce the population, that you care nothing about them? You don't care about women welfare. You don't care about the well-being of women and children, our boys and our girls. They matter to us. And if they matter to us, they should matter to those who are sitting in the seat of authority. They should want to do something. They should wait for advocacy groups to be on them. They should want to do something. And we just wanted to, this is a matter of urgency. We are calling for action now, and we're not backing down. We're keeping our foot on the accelerator, and we're going to be screaming and hollering with all the other advocacy groups in the diaspora and in Liberia. We're going to be hollering, and we're going to be on the backs. We are not backing down.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thanks to the rest of the crew for taking up time of your busy schedule. This is not a strange home. Please make this your home whenever you want to come. And hey, we'll provide the opportunity for you guys, voices to be heard. Thank you so much, Mrs. Addy.
Thank you, Ashford.
All right. Want to go back to Liberia, where Mrs. Julia Duncan Kessel, the former minister of gender, is still here. And Madam Minister, I want to say a big thank you. It's after 2 a.m. and you were up just because of Liberia. And finally, I want you to come give us 5 minutes of your time to go there. I mean, some of the panelists still feel that you didn't give them solution. And they also feel that you are against some of the recommendations that they want implemented. And again, I want you to finally get your message across as to what you want done in terms of solution before we call this a night tonight. Madam Minister. Hello? Madam Minister, are you still there? Call mute her. Hello? To the minister said dial. Okay. I seen her call is muted. Well, folks, I'm afraid that's all the time I have to be with you tonight. God willing.
Scranton made Joe Biden who he...
We will be back tomorrow night with Quincy T.Y. Juliet. At this time, we are going to be giving you some comedy. Where Quincy, I think she's calling. Okay. Hello, Madam Minister? Hello, are you still there? Hello? Well, folks, I'm afraid it's all the time I have to be with you. Please allow me to borrow the words of the wise man. As always, tough times don't last. Tough people do. The height of a man is never known until he rises. And there's no second chance to make that first impression. Don't see okra and swallow bone because you can't hide your nakedness with bathing bucket. When God bless you, don't see that medicine. When white men know you friend black man. This has been yours truly. The medicine of the microphone. The golden voice of Liberia. Dire. C'est tout quoi yege. Zebon play the danaja. Kuwa me wachiraji. And now you know me. Ash for the giant garland. Have a good night.